Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Magdalene interview series. It's been such a delight to run these conversations and get to talk to more and more women who have a connection to the Magdalene, and especially, having the opportunity to widen the conversation around what it means to be a spiritual woman today and how we're holding the traditions that we're carrying and why all of that matters. And so I'm super excited today to have with me Cynthia Portlock. And we're going to have a deep, juicy discussion. This is a woman who has devoted much of her life, so many beautiful pieces that she's done in order to come into this embodiment and relationship with the Magdalene. So I'm so excited. Before we go there, I just want to name that I'm holding these interviews also in partnership with the fact that I'm leading a retreat to the south of France in September. Yes, the Magdalene Pleasure Pilgrimage. And that is going to be an 8-day space to just drop in for women leaders who are doing their spiritual work in whatever way it looks like to them. Very diverse group that we have gathering so far, and come together in a way where we get to just fill up and renew and restore and connect to the land and connect to the core of who we are. It's a pilgrimage in devotion to self. So if that's interesting to you, please do reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Cynthia, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. This is a true blessing.
Please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I am a Akashic wisdom keeper, shamanic priest, shamanic practitioner, and ordained priestess of Mary Magdalene, and a few other priestess and lineages. That is kind of all weaving in. A lot of ancestral healing comes through. There's a lot of womb rites, as I have received my womb rites through Mary Magdalene's lineage and Egyptian lineages. And so, that's a little bit.
Wow, that was like a big mouthful of things that you said. When would you say that Magdalene and priestess and all of that stopped being something that you were learning about and started becoming something you were actually living and embodying?
Oh, well, that's the exciting part, is it is a journey, right? And so I think respecting that there was a long time between where she showed up for me, which would have been about 8 years ago, to where it was probably there's been peaks and flows of where I've been really strong in my practice and not. And that's why I do love Mary Magdalene, is because the cycle of flow is something that I really feel honored with her. And so there have been times where in the last 12 years where it's been really quiet for me, but actually that was very important for my integration to actually embody her more. And I would say I'm just reaching another breakthrough of that right now.
It is that way, isn't it? It's like you get to learn these concepts and you get to first kind of play with them cognitively, and then it's like you're testing out the belief, like is this actually, do I really believe this is true? And if I do, how does that change who I'm being? And then it's hard to pinpoint, isn't it? Like the moment when you're like, oh no, this is just a part of who I am.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, tell us a little bit about like how this, actually, just take us to the beginning. I'd love to hear. You have gone a lot of places. The Egyptian and the Magdalene and just take us a little bit through the journey, because like I'm fascinated.
Well, and that's why I love that this is about a pilgrimage, because I do feel that there is a major impact when you actually touch the land. And especially as an Akashic wisdom keeper that is able to really access past lives, there's such an awakening happens when we like touch the land that we're on. So first, even giving thanks right now to the land that we're on for holding this space for this magic to happen. But I was brought to England for my husband's job, and being 100% British in my DNA, that actually inflicted quite the dark night of the soul and kicked in a lot of ancestral healing, which took place on that land. And I realized that I had traveled, and this was like before, while I would still not consider myself awake or conscious, in fact, rebelled against that at all. I was still journeying on all these sacred sites, and I was finding all these stone circles in Ireland and
Mhm.
Scotland and England, and not just Stonehenge, but like ones that I would just fall upon and just feel the energy of the land. And I know that Mary Magdalene very much represents that. I love in Mary Magdalene Revealed, where the first thing she said was like, I wish we could connect everybody to nature and everything, because that's like my why. And so when I'm connecting to these sacred sites and the land and the rocks and the grass and everything and the elementals, because she has such an elemental feel to her too, comes alive. It has actually been in nature that I first had my strongest connection with Magdalene.
Hmm. So England is where you fell apart, which
Yeah.
most of our spiritual awakenings start with and then I fell apart.
Yeah. I've got to create
And
that opening.
yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, what came next?
Yeah, then I consciously, it was I went to a sweat lodge in Sweden that actually impacted my spontaneous awakening. And then I dove in really strong into all of the all of the things, and all just soaking in all that I could from all the different lineages and different lands, and started traveling. And it was one of those prayers that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, because I just have miraculous stories over miraculous stories where out of nowhere my mentor would appear. And my first one was Josephine Byrne, who was the one who gave me my womb rights in Glastonbury Abbey. Um, and at the tour, and where I was able to travel to Egypt on a pilgrimage and very consciously start connecting. And that started spreading throughout, and it just continues to blossom.
So all of these places that you've been, I'm fascinated by the multiple spiritual traditions that you hold. And we know that Mary Magdalene also carried multiple spiritual traditions. I'm curious, like, how do you personally stay in relationship with the lineages that you're connected to? Like, beyond learning and practicing them, like, do you stay in connection with the different all the different like cultures and things that you've been able to benefit from?
I do. And I consider myself really lucky and really privileged, because I do have friends all across the world, that I do get to stay in contact and weave in this magic. And one thing I've noticed, because I have been, for example, in Native American ceremony, and then like Green Tara will come in, and I'm like, Green Tara, what are you doing? You're Tibetan Buddhism, and she's like, I'm the tree of life. And I was at outside the pyramids of Hathor's temple receiving quite an initiation. That it's not like I was a tourist looking at the hieroglyphics. I was going through an initiation. But the first thing that I was brought to was a hieroglyphic of what looked like the Chanupa, which is the peace pipe of White Buffalo Woman. And at the same time I was on that pilgrimage in Egypt, I was also being held in sacred space from my priestess mother in England and the Native American tribe in North America, in upstate New York, all in the same time. And at first, I thought that was really taboo, and I thought that was really scary because I thought I had to keep these all separate because this was Egypt, this was Celtic, and this was Native American. And so I actually like wasn't gonna do my vision quest that month because of my Egyptian, because I thought that was most respectful. And it just turned out that they all muddled in because the native, the chief ended up calling in sacred space early, which was holding space that entire time I was in Egypt. And Josephine, my sister, ended up just like calling me in. And so it just, it, I knew it wasn't me that was doing it. And I knew that this coupling, like this melting pot wanted to happen. And it was something that my human self did resist.
Wow, that's like so, I can't even imagine like being in, wow. What was that like? Like what did that do for you? Like what was the transformation for you happening there in Egypt?
Yeah. Well, I was with a priestess group, so that was really important because each day definitely tackled on the other. When it comes to Mary Magdalene, we went to a church that she prayed in and actually had to escape to as a refuge. And in Egypt, it's still technically illegal to pray. And I do have a funny story because, like, I ended up just trancing out and walking around, like, singing in tongue. And this bodyguard started like walking really close to me, and I started getting a lot of fear that I was going to get in trouble when I was getting arrested. But then all these past life fears really came up strong. And then he followed me all the way to the van, and I could go into details of all, but in my mind and in my body, like I couldn't believe the fear that was coming over me. And it was unbelievable because because first of all, it was purging out of my system as a Magdalene. But what I was being shown that was so magical outside of time and space is that I was actually sending healing to Mary Magdalene in that time period from being there on that pilgrimage and letting that move through me at that time. And that was like, what? I'm doing ancestral healing for Mary Magdalene? Like, like what? But you could feel the connections and you felt, and also it validated, so again, thank you for this opportunity to let me share my voice on this, because it has taken me years. I had so much fear to get in front of the camera. I had so much fear around using my voice. And when it comes to Mary Magdalene, because I'm like, oh no, when she comes in, I'm like, oh no, my religious friends are gonna say no because they misunderstand her, and my friends that aren't religious are gonna say no because she's too religious. Like she was, like whenever she came in, I always kind of like felt those things.
Yeah. No, that makes so much sense. Mary Magdalene is a controversial figure. She really is. And it's interesting to me because she is beloved by those who are Christian and still find, home in religion and in the church. And then she is also something so special to many of us who have left religion and left the church.
Yeah.
And the narratives about her are all different. So I agree. Like I have also felt this for years, this like I have this relationship and I will not talk about it because everybody feels something different about what she was, what she did, who she was. And I finally realized like it's okay to just hold space for the nuance, and one person's truth can be different than the other person's truth, and it's all good.
And she's been the best mentor to work through that and not need validation from others and working through those. And I would like to voice the biggest lesson that she's really been teaching me in this now moment is has been around forgiveness. But it kind of goes with the let them, because like she's been showing me that like like she knew that this was going to happen. She had these visions. She knew that her name was going to be soiled. She knew. It didn't make it easy on her either, because when I feel like, she's shown me and I've felt how difficult it was. And when I was in Egypt and could feel that fear arise when the guard was following me, is an example of that. But like, I had a situation just come in that was really tender, and the way that it was really myself I had to forgive, but there was also this knowing of like, um it's all part of the plan. It's all okay. Like, she'll give you that higher perspective that this has happened for our learning, and like, to just let things go. She's had a lot of things go.
You're the second person to say that on the show this week. So
Really?
that's really, really powerful. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. Like, kind of this higher element of forgiveness that has more to do with having a universal understanding as opposed to just like letting something go. It's like recognizing the vastness of all things, even the
Yeah.
things that are incomprehensible. And that is
Yes. I love that. And that's another thing. It's just like reminding us that we just have a small window. But there's something much bigger that to trust. And I don't always love that word, but it is true.
yeah. So do you work with people in a capacity around all of these spiritual gifts and things? You said you're connected to the Akashic and things. What is your work?
Yeah. So I facilitate Sophia circles. So if you're familiar with the Sophia code, which was channeled by Kaya Ra, I lead journeys through those chapters. I do transformational journeys through the Akashic Records. And so using that for like 3 or 6 to 9 months portals, which really provide like time to, yeah, I prefer longer containers to really give time to let that transformation happen and go deeper and deeper. But I'm going to be starting more group works for what is up and coming as Sovereign Sisters, where I really feel called to connect with sisters to help us collaborate, but from a sovereign space that really respects. And so it'll be like an Akashic wisdom that will be continuous, that will be around that theme of what would enhance that.
What do you think makes someone want to dive into that kind of work that you're doing?
Change. They're ready for change. I also like, I'm an end of life nurse, and so it's like I also heard like when they're at the end of the rope, you just don't want, you don't think you could go on any further, and it kind of like, these transformational journeys meet you from that place and kind of shows you how you can get out of it if you feel like you're stuck, or the repeating cycles and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? I'm sick of it. Then I'm like, okay, if you're really ready to look at why, and you really want to know that answer, and you're willing to look at yourself and find out why, then I can help you lovingly see that. But it's not easy always to know why we keep repeating the same pattern. So you do have to be ready.
Right. I love that. I think that there's something really tangible about working with Mary Magdalene and some of these things that you're talking about, where it's like it's confronting, and it's not just about applying some tools and being in love and light. It's, I think if we're doing it well, hopefully it's activating us towards rubber meets the road. How are we really out serving our like fellow humankind that we're sharing this planet with right now? And like, what's amazing on the other side of that is we feel so much more alive when we listen and we move through whatever shit's holding us back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. You just said you are an end of life nurse, and I'm like, Whoa, wait a minute. What a percentage of the time is that taking up of your life? Like, is that your full-time job?
Yeah, this is my full-time job still.
Oh,
But that's another thing that's gone in and out. But that's what's great is like in these integration periods, it's still using my spiritual gifts, but in a very worldly way.
I want to hear more about that. I mean, have you felt like how have you felt like your whole priestess journey relates to your like on the ground work as an end of life nurse?
Um, the first thing that comes into mind is the oneness. It is like so in your face how connected we all are. It's so easy to see what collectively is going on in the themes just from like um everybody, all my patients will be connected to each other in some way or another. It's insane. But the other reason I'm so grateful for it is the veil is already beginning to lift, and so I get no resistance. So when I show up at a person's house, they see me on a soul level. I see them on a soul level immediately. So there's been even times I've had patients family members confused because they were expecting to feel sad about the goodbye of their loved one, but not of like this new family member that just made their way in their home at this time of death, because it immediately sees each other on a soul level, because that's where we're going, like we're not just our human body, we're so much bigger, and I get to witness people in that vastness all the time.
Oh my gosh. And sorry, I have a little fly buzzing around, but I am so touched by that. I feel like that matters so much. I That is a layer of depth of you, and I'm so grateful that that came up in this conversation. I have a really close connection to death just by chance. One of those lucky ones who've had just a lot of death from a very young
Oh.
age in my family and life. And and so have had to grapple with, the things that you have to when you're around death all the time at a young age. And it's really occurred to me this element of like priestess role that is death doula, that is like someone like you to get to come into a space and help support somebody's spirit to transition. Like it matters so much. And to come in with all of these, with your native elders, with your Egyptian codes, and with your European codes, and to bring all of that in a space, holy, what a gift you are providing to be with someone like
And they get so surprised when they are, like when I go into a Muslim home and I know some and I could relate to them, and they're like, oh, like I met with there's a lot of grace of what I mess up just because they appreciate that.
that you come with that
That
fun.
I'm meeting them where they are, and that's the other part, and that's what I love about nursing, right? Like that doesn't discriminate, and I'm not here to teach or tell you anything. I'm here to just enhance who you are and what is gonna be what where you're from, what your culture is.
It occurs to me that like being seen in that way by someone like you very likely are making people feel more seen than they've been in their whole entire life just at the end. Right.
And it was a big, actually, I understand. I had a dream telling me I had to go back, that I was going to have to take a job I wouldn't want to, because I had done all my trainings for the Akashic Records and all, I did all the things. And then they're like, what if you're not going to do any of that and we're going to put you back in nursing? And I was just like, I was actually pretty cool about it, because I was like, well, good. I'm not going to business side anyway. At least I got to take a pause before you.
Honestly, that's so real though. I'm having conversations all the time with clients about like we're these spiritual women and we're like, I just want to help people. And we have these gifts and things. And then we get thrown into a capitalistic system of like pro marketing and all this stuff. And it's like, how am I supposed, what? Like, what do you want me to do? And like on a not so funny side, I see these type of individuals getting the most taken advantage of. And I was one of them, like hiring the most narcissistic coaches and things. Cause I was like, I don't know how to do this, like I'm gonna stay in my lane and serve clients, and you're gonna teach me what to do in all the other areas, and put my hands, my trust into the wrong hands a lot of times. So it's like so real. That element is so real. And I think that like bringing back this piece that are on the ground, like you could be a construction worker right now, and I would probably still see like, oh, that's you'd probably be like, there's meaning of why I made
and that it's true.
Because we need you. We need people out there who can be hospice nurses, for crying out loud. It's such a high calling.
But so I was like, I was not leaving my house at that time. I wasn't touching other people. I had pulled back my energy so much. I was quite reclused. And so it actually was becoming the case manager to go into people's homes and to go into nursing homes and be their person that actually helped me out of it, because I immediately was just like in bed holding their hands. Like it was so natural for me to become affectionate at that time, and it was so well received because it was soul level love that it actually is what helped me bring me back out of my shell.
It was your
which I didn't see coming at all.
Wow.
And it became the biggest blessing.
That's so beautiful. Well, Cynthia, this conversation has been riveting. Thank you for all of the life that you've lived, for all that you've invested into this path and journey, and the way that you give back in such a powerful way. And I'd love to just have you share with our community, like, where can people find you? How can they lean in and connect more with your voice and follow you more on your all of your adventures?
Thank you. Yeah, right now Facebook is the best way. So send me a friend request and tell me who you are, and what attracts you to Mary Magdalene, or what attracts you to me. And especially if you're DC or local based, a lot of my stuff has been in person. And so yeah, I would love to know you if you're watching this. So feel free to DM me on Facebook.
Amazing. Thank you, Cynthia. And thanks to those of you who have hung out with us, especially, over this week of Magdalene interviews. And I hope you've enjoyed these conversations as much as I have. I'm learning a lot in so many ways. Running these conversations with this presence of Magdalene energy kind of interweaving through our conversations. It's been so beautiful, and such a delight to share this time with you today, Cynthia. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again next time on our Magdalene interview series.